All right, we're going to get into my final project. And this is awesome. This is my final reflection, and we're going to dive right into it. We're going to talk about some of the identities that you may not have known as a class. I'm going to go into more detail about the ones that you do know. And then, of course, I'm going to talk about becoming a father and how that part of me is assimilating into me right now and kind of the responsibilities of that great that great role in life and that great identity that I can't wait to be a part of. Proceed if you dare. Some of these identities may be controversial. I'm not doing that as a cliffhanger. Some of you might find them a little bit offensive. If so, I deeply apologize. It's not my intent. It's not my prerogative to go around offending people, and you may disagree with them, and to that, I'm totally fine with it. By all means, disagree. One of my favorite quotes is, I may not agree with what you say, but I'll defend till my death your right to say it, and I firmly believe in that. So let's go on. So some of these I've talked about in class. The expectant father I won't talk about in this presentation, but I will have a video clip at the end where my wife and I talk about what it's like to assimilate that identity as a part of us. But first, we're going to talk about being a UNC fan, a political junkie, a psychology junkie. Let's get into it. Oh, listen to that sound. Listen to our hill voices ringing clear and true. Singing Carolina's praises, shouting, see you. Its radiance shine. Carolina, priceless gem, receive our praises now. The Tar Heel Band and the Tar Heel Band and the Tar Heel Band. The Tar Heel Band and the Tar Heel Band and the go to hell too. The Tar Heel Band and the Tar Heel Band and the Tar Heel Band. The Tar Heel Band and the Tar Heel Band and go to hell too. Go Tar Heels. Go Tar Heels. Go Tar Heels. All righty, go Tar Heels, right? I grew up in North Carolina. We moved down there when I was 1 year old. My dad and my mom are natives of North Carolina. My dad was working in Indiana and then got a job back in North Carolina to be with my ailing grandparents at the time, his parents. One part of being a North Carolina fan is that you hate everything about Duke. And one thing that I hope by the end of this presentation is that you agree with me is that some people hate Trump, some people hate Hillary, but everyone hates Duke. I'm just kidding. But I mean, if you do want to learn more about why Duke is the most overrated basketball program of the century, let me know. I'll definitely educate you on that. I don't charge much. Yeah, like I said, I grew up in North Carolina. My dad got his MBA there. He grew up telling me about Phil Ford, Four Corners, Michael Jordan, Dean Smith. I got to go to a lot of games growing up, including the 1998 ACC tournament, where North Carolina defeated Maryland in the semifinals and then went on to beat Duke in the championship and ended up losing to Utah in that Final Four. And that was a really sad game for me, particularly because I have a cousin who played on Utah's team that year, and luckily he's a distant cousin, so he hasn't talked too much trash about it, but it's still a good time. If you see here, here's a collection of some of my t-shirts. I got the 1993 championship, the 2017 championship, and the 2005 national championship t-shirts, each of which the beloved Tar Heels won. I have my classic Tar Heel over Blue Devil emoji shirt, just a classic. Another one of my great memories, I surprised my dad with the UNC Duke tickets, ended up being on the last row, did my best to cheer on my Tar Heels, I have a clip that I want to share with y'all.
Heels! Heels! Heels!
Man, I understand why people don't like hearing their voices when they cheer for things. My gosh. UNC ended up losing that game after winning for about 80% of the game. They did end up losing the championship that year, and I cried that night because they lost a last-second buzzer beater, which some of you might know about, with Chris Jenkins and Villanova. And it came 3 seconds after Marcus Page of North Carolina hit one of the best shots of all time. He hit a double clutch three-pointer with like 4 seconds left, and they marched down and scored at the buzzer. Blah. But they won the next year, so it's all good. And I owe it all to this guy right here, my dad. This is he and I outside of the well, which is a icon of the university. It's a deep part of who I am. I am a political junkie. I love to read CNN and Fox News, and even sources that are farther left and farther right. And I somehow come to a middle ground, something of more of a fair. I do sometimes lean one way or the other. One thing from my undergrad that I remember doing in one of my classes at BYU was reading newspaper or news headlines and comparing it to academic journals, and seeing the disparity between what was reported in the news article and what was reported in the journal and the actual study, and then being critical of the study. So I try to carry that on. I try my best to get a hold of a journal if something's being reported by a news outlet, and really getting down to the bottom. I take everything by a case-by-case basis, and I try my best to be fair. I don't want to sound too extreme on one side or the other, and I know that those are extremes for a reason. They're called extremes for a reason. I am a psychology junkie. I currently work in a mental hospital as a tech. I do have very interesting stories. It's a very rewarding job. Right now I'm a tech. I do hope to become a clinical psychologist. I had the opportunity to work at a youth residential treatment center, and I was above a young men's unit. I absolutely loved it. I was a manager of a unit and got to do some really cool things. I got to talk to some kids that had really rough past, and you name the disorder and they probably had symptoms of it. And I came to the conclusion that from working with them and talking to others as well, and just talking to other parents, as I talk to a lot of parents as I'm becoming a father, that I do think that there are some unique issues that young people face that not necessarily being paid attention to. And that's not to say that women don't face problems. I do absolutely believe that, and I think that we've learned as much in our class. Unfortunately, I don't think that some of the unique issues that young men face today are necessarily at the forefront as much as women and their issues, and I think that in the ideal world both would be at the forefront. Alright, here's some of my concealed identities that I haven't necessarily shared with the class, but I do want to now. I want to be like Yoshino and talk about some of my identities that I do believe might be under scrutiny. I think all of these, except for the Chilean part, would be, at least in some circles. So I am very religious. I am part Chilean, and not necessarily by blood, but we'll go over why in a second. I do have a political identity that I will go more in depth into. I do own a gun. Actually, I do own guns, and I do suffer from PTSD. So first off, I am a Latter-day Saint Christian, also known as a Mormon. And if you go through the history of this religion, I strongly invite all of you to do so, and you all to study some of the unique features that separate Latter-day Saints from mainstream Christianity. A big part of this doctrine that keeps me going is eternal families. I do go through crisis of faith at times in my lives, but at the end of the day, if there's even a 0.000000001% chance that my family can be together forever, that's something I'm going to hold on to, and that's a unique part of my religion, is that it's not till death do us part. We're called Mormons because of the Book of Mormon, which is another unique feature. We don't replace the Bible. We have additional scripture to the Bible, and it deals with God's dealings with the people on the American continent, not just in the Middle East. In the Bible and in the Book of Mormon, I believe, in and of themselves, even if you question their authenticity, I think that they are great books, and that there are a lot of teachings from both books that can help you become a better person and become self-actualized. This religion has afforded some of the best opportunities in my life. I did graduate from Brigham Young University, which was really cheap because it is a church-funded school, so I was able to get a subsidized tuition. We only had to pay $2,000 a semester, and ended up with only have $4,000 left to pay back on my student loans for my undergrad. In addition, I was able to meet and marry for time and all eternity my sweetheart, Stephanie. That is the Salt Lake Temple behind us, and that is where we were wedded. And it stands as a time in the lives of Mormons where they were escaping religious persecutions. They ended up having to flee Missouri, they fled Nebraska, they fled New York, they fled Ohio. Everywhere they went, they were met with persecution, and they ended up in the Mexican territory that's now a big part of the western United States, but specifically Salt Lake City, Utah. And, you know, I love my wife to death and beyond. She is my light. She makes me laugh. She's so fun to be around. She calls me out on my crap. And she's just great to be around. And as you can tell from the picture, she is drop dead gorgeous. And I can't wait to see her in the role of a mother as well as a wife. Alluding to the persecution that Latter-day Saints and Mormons faced, one thing about being a white male and Mormon is that I do know what it's like to have a heritage that faced persecution. I want to read a little bit from an article right now about the degree to which Mormons were persecuted. And this is from Kansas City, Missouri. U.S. Senator Christopher S. Bond, who is a Missouri governor in 1976, rescinded the 1838 extermination order authorizing the expulsion of Mormons from the state, has been honored by the Mormon History Association for his action 34 years ago. So up until 1976 in Missouri, it was legal to kill a Mormon because of a non-terminated extermination order. And knowing just the sacrifice that my religious forebears made to make this possible, to make religious freedom possible for them, is very heartwarming for me, and I think this temple stands as a beacon and a symbol of that. Even if you don't agree with my religion or some of the doctrines, I think that I will hope that fighting for religious freedom is something admirable to all of you. I love my wife. She's the best. All right, I am part Chilean, y por esa parte yo voy a hablar español. Obviamente yo no soy chileno de sangre, pero por medio de la iglesia mormona yo tuve la oportunidad de servir una misión por 2 años. Durante este tiempo yo tuve la oportunidad de hablar de las doctrinas de la iglesia, de visitar partes muy hermosísimas del mundo. Pueden ver un volcán, el volcán Osorno. Yo serví en una parte muy sur del mundo, y esa parte del mundo es parte de la Patagonia. Y yo cada día, diariamente, yo pienso en esa oportunidad. Obviamente estoy hablando español ahora, y si no tuviera esta oportunidad de servir una misión, yo no podría hablar español tan fluidamente ahora. De hecho, en el colegio casi salí con una mala nota de español. Así que ahora yo puedo hablarlo y sí, me encanta este idioma. pueden ver que tuve una operación allí, me dio apendicitis, mi primer sector en la garganta, y también tuve una corona de mi diente que se cayó y me lo reemplazaron. Así que siempre doy un chiste de que dejé una parte de mí en Chile y regresé con una parte de Chile en mí. Así que yo tengo una corona de Chile en mi boca y dejé mi apéndice allá. Y me encanta Chile, me encanta la cultura y lo echo de menos. He tenido la oportunidad de regresar una vez y quiero regresar otra vez con mi hijo, mi esposa. All right, back to English. Hopefully I have the technology and the technological knowledge to subtitle that last slide. I did grow up in a very Republican family, and right now that can be very scrutinized. And now, as I've grown older, I identify myself as slightly right-leaning independent. I'm very socially liberal, economically conservative. The only real social issue that I deviate from mainstream liberalism is the right to bear arms and the right to own an AR-15. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. It is an interesting dichotomy because I do get in conversations with people who just assume, if I'm if I am socially liberal or if I am economically conservative, that is a blanket thing. For example, I could be talking to someone about transgender LGBT rights and how I wish that there was more in the system to help them out, and then they just assume that I disagree with the tax code that President Trump recently came out with. And it's kind of funny to see their reactions when they can see that, yeah, it is possible that someone can be both. Or, in the other sense, someone talking to someone who sees that I agree with the current tax code, and then seeing that, and then talking about something white supremacist-like and you disagree with it. So it's interesting. And I'm sure some of you may disagree with what I said and have a hard time reconciling both, but that's all right. I still love you anyway. All right, I am a gun owner. I love my guns, and it is hard for me to admit and to talk about it. A lot of times, I do love my AR-15 that I own. Take out shooting every once in a while. I try to go just once in a while. I do own a 9mm as well for difference, and the AR-15 for difference as well. That is a big part of what I am. I love my right to defend myself. I know that there is a lot of controversy around the AR-15 at the moment, and I understand it. I get it. I'm not calling you a bad person. And I know that is a very delicate issue. So it is something that's hard to talk about sometimes when I come out and say that I do own the AR-15 and that I support people's rights to own one at the moment. That's not what this project is about or this class, but if you do want to talk about, feel free to hit me up, email me, text me, message me on Yellowdig, and we can talk about it in a respectful way. And I certainly support your right to voice a disagreement about that, and even protest it if you feel that way. And at the end of the day, I am a law-abiding citizen, and if it comes down to it, and my AR-15 has to be taken away, so be it. I'm not going to fight it, because I certainly do understand the premise behind it, even though I do disagree with it. I do have PTSD. 3 years ago, I was in an abusive relationship with a female who presented a lot of low presenting behaviors of antisocial disorder, and it did really rock my world. And when I went through the episode, it wasn't really taken seriously by counselors or even by people close to me. It was something really sad, and to a certain extent at the time, my grades suffered from it, and one of my coping mechanisms was to not really do my best in school. So I graduated from BYU with a 2.98 GPA. And when I tell people that, that really shocks them. And I hope it shocks you. I really do. It's one of those things where I have the ability, but I didn't really have the image of myself of having that ability to get greater grades. And since then, since I've been able to work through some of the trauma and some of the weird experiences that I had in that relationship, and I've been able to go from an underachiever, and now I use that experience as fuel to my fire. I don't want to take this time to really brag about myself, but I guess the way that I got into contact with Harvard Extension School was the fact that I did score on the 99th percentile in the GRE for the writing section, and I'd like to think that that reflects in my weekly reflections as well. I used that experience to really work hard, and it's something that I want to pass on to my son as well, that no matter how you feel about yourself or the things that you go through, that hard work is something that is an antidote to how you feel about yourself. I think people feel really good about themselves when they work hard. And the fact that I didn't work hard while I was going through the initial trauma, I think reinforced the trauma and the flashbacks and the episodes that I did have, the panic attacks and everything. And I guess that explains a little bit about why I am passionate about young male issues. I don't think that I really had a platform to stand on to have someone take it seriously when I did go through that hard stuff, and the manipulation, the gaslighting, the trauma that left with me. And I wanted to pass it on to my son as well, to not live with that regret. And it is somewhat of a regret of mine, but I think I'm doing all right now. I've had this wonderful opportunity to be a part of a great institution. My regret isn't going through the trauma. My regret is not working hard enough in my undergrad. And I have these opportunities to attend grad school and to go on with my dream of becoming a clinical psychologist. I hope you enjoyed this non-video part of my final project, and now we're going to have a brief video clip and just kind of go through the day in the life of the Turners and what we're doing now to prepare to take on this future identity of parents. I really hope that all of you enjoyed this. God bless ya. I've enjoyed this class, and God bless America and all countries out there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is my sweet dear wife, Stephanie.
Hi.
And we're going to be talking together today about our change in identity over this past year, and just some of the fun stuff that's been happening, and especially about our new addition to the family that's going to come June 18th. And you want to show them your baby?
Boom.
There he is. And we just had a baby shower. Got some nice gifts over here. And we're just in our little town home here in Salt Lake, hanging out. Sunday, we just did our Sunday routine. We got out of church, and then we went straight to the University of Utah, locked ourselves in a study room, and we went to town. I was working on my statistics homework, and Stephanie was working on she's getting her bachelor's in nursing. That's what we did.
Brains are mush.
Our brains are mush, but I figured better now than never to just kind of show the authenticity of kind of a day in our life, and kind of what we've been going through lately, and to really show our identities and how our identities are changing. So life came at us really fast. We got married in August, and
now we're starting our own family already. This wasn't necessarily planned, but wasn't necessarily stopped, if that makes sense. But Stephanie, go ahead and just talk about your shift from going from girlfriend to fiance to wife.
Well, I can definitely say that I used to be one of those people that thought that being in a long-term relationship was the equivalent to being married, and there really wasn't a big difference. So there's no reason to rush that. And what I've learned is that it is very different. There's definitely a shift in just being in a committed relationship long-term and then actually taking that step and being married. And so it's been a good shift, but I can't say that either one of us had experience in it. We've never been married before, so I thought I had experience, and there's some stuff that I feel like I've has come naturally, but then other things, dynamics change, and you just kind of have to be a team and go through it together. But there's no way to really describe the difference in that. It's just really personal, and it definitely is different, in my opinion, than just dating or being engaged. Being engaged, I felt like I was just busy the whole time planning a wedding, and so
Yeah, I mean, our lives have not been very relaxed since we got married. We got married in August, and Stephanie, has alluded to this, but right after that, we went on our honeymoon and came back. I'd stopped working my job and just studied for the GRE. Took it, applied to some schools, started a new job. Stephanie was starting a new job. We moved, sold my car, and got pregnant all within a year. So I joke around with her and I say, a year ago when we were dating, had you told me that a year from now we'd be in this situation, I would have called her crazy.
Right.
But man, it's been such a shift. Let's talk a little bit about our changing in dynamics about becoming parents. Where do you think most of your change has been coming emotionally? I know physically you've gone through a lot of stuff, but emotionally, what do you feel like is changing? What do you feel like? What type of stuff have you integrated into yourself that maybe you didn't have before?
Well, I think first, we do have a lot on our plates. Personally, like we're both working full-time, we're both in school full-time. I haven't been as good as volunteering, but I usually volunteer at a couple of places. Kendrick's volunteering, we're doing hypnobirthing. So there's just like a lot, personally, that we're still trying to do and keep up with. And so shifting into thinking about a role as a parent and still feeling like there's so much to do personally is there's been times where it's been scary, where I've been thinking that I'm not going to have that time anymore. I'm not going to be able to do extracurricular things that I want to do, or hobbies and things like that. So it has been a little bit of fear of the unknown, and also all of a sudden I've noticed just this protectiveness come in emotionally that I didn't know would happen. And I remember being at work the other day and thinking, oh my gosh, I can't leave him. The thought of leaving my son and even going to work for a day had me in tears. And then I started thinking about how I don't trust anyone to drive him anywhere. And so
including me.
there's, I mean, I didn't say that, but just thinking about friends or family or who would babysit, and so it definitely triggers some anxiety that you just don't. I don't know how you can get rid of because you haven't experienced it yet. So it's just kind of like impending. But
I think I'm starting to relate more to my parents, which is a little strange, but like, you know, and I echo what Stephanie has said about the protectiveness. And I've noticed I've become even more protective of Stephanie lately. I see her, you know, Stephanie she's not one that likes to sit around a lot. She likes to be up and going. She likes to be moving around, and sometimes I joke around and say I'm gonna handcuff you to the bed. Not in that way, but like, you know, just so she'll stay in bed and give herself the rest that she needs. And she sometimes
maybe later.
Maybe, you know, we won't get into that, but like she is, you know, that's just part of her nature, and that's one of the reasons why I still am so attracted to her, is that she is someone that likes to accomplish a lot of things and likes to be productive, and you know, that's something I really admire about her and that I've tried to integrate into myself as well. And it's hard to see her sit restless, but at the same time, it's hard to see her work so hard in the house. So I'm kind of not necessarily a lose-lose situation, but in a way, you know, I'm to the point where I want her to just be happy, but I don't know where that fine line is at the moment, and that's been a little challenging for me to encourage her to work when she can and encourage her to rest when she should, and knowing the difference. It's been a big challenge for me, but we're both so excited. Tell us about your emotions. What do you think you're looking forward to the most? What do you think you're looking forward to the least? I guess it changed. Not that we don't love you some, but
as far as what? As far as moving, birth,
just in general, like changes in life.
I'm excited. I'm not excited to pack because I'm gonna want everything organized really well, and I know I'm not gonna have like the physical energy to.
I don't mean to interrupt, baby.
That?
I didn't say this during my project, but we are moving to Florida, and I'm gonna be starting a program out there. When we go to Florida State, which is shocking because I'm not just going to rant about being a giant UNC fan, but their program was a glove fit, and not that I haven't enjoyed Harvard at all because it's Harvard, but you know, it was just an overall better fit, so I could become a licensed therapist. So that's what we're going to be doing. So it's a lot. So I just thought I'd throw that out there. If y'all are following and you're like, what the hell, are they moving to Florida? But yeah, go ahead, baby.
I think it's going to be a lot. I think that packing, I'm trying to get everything I can done now, or at least trying to like mentally organize how we're going to move. And I'm nervous to move with a 4-week-old. I honestly don't know if I would like have more anxiety flying or even driving, or I don't know. So anyway, that's going to be a lot, but I am kind of excited just to, I've moved a lot in my life, and so part of me really loves unplugging and plugging in somewhere new, and there are different like lifestyle changes of the South that I'm gonna need to get used to again, because I haven't lived there since I was in my early 20s, but I'm excited.
I echo your anxiety about 4-week-old. I think right now the plan is that Stephanie's gonna fly out there, hopefully with her mom, and then my parents are going to drive down from North Carolina and meet them there, and then I'm going to drive out with a buddy from college and meet everyone out there. I'll be with someone. It is what it is, right? Another anxiety that popped into my head, you're talking about moving, and I voiced this to you a lot, is 2 weeks we're going to be flying out to Florida to look at apartments, and I'm just so scared that you're going to go into labor on one of the flights. I couldn't care less if you went into labor while we were out there, but like one of the flights, like that is I guess I joke around and I tell Stephanie at least we become famous afterwards if we delivered him on air. But that's kind of the my protective nature of Stephanie coming with my son. I just want to come out healthy and happy, and for us to school and offense in any way, shape, or form. I joked around in one of my reflections, I'm such a psychology nerd. Stephanie's in the nursing profession, she works with children. So Stephanie sees the worst of children, and I see the worst of mental illness, and we've got it covered. I guess we can use our anxieties to make sure he doesn't get injured or damaged psychologically. Such a helicopter parent thing to say.
Right.
But,
hopefully we'll be able just to say at the end of the day, oh, he's breathing, we've got airway, we've got good circulation, and just call that as a success.
Find the balance between spoiling and teaching them responsibility.
Yeah.
That's
He's
a tough line, yeah.
He's not displaying signs of schizophrenia or anything too extreme. I think it's a good day.
No, we can count those blessings. And that's not to undermine anyone's schizophrenia.
No, but that would be
It would be
a lot of work, and it would
That'd
be,
yeah.
most
Still
parents
love.
don't think that, I don't think, with their firstborn, like behaviorally looking at their personalities or traits, or, I don't think that they overthink that stuff too much, but we might.
I have that problem. I've seen way too much, guys. But I am overall, I think about where I was a few years ago, and just I've opened up about me constantly underachieving and not really doing well in school and everything. And now that I've had this chance to kind of redeem myself through Harvard and everything, and I look at Stephanie and I look at her belly, and I think to the end of the day, during those hard days, that this investment of educating myself, going the distance to become a clinical psychologist, that will pay dividends down the line. Will be a good example for my son to look up to, and that there's always a second chance, and that hard work really does pay off. And that's the biggest message that, at least at my point in my life right now, that's the part of my identity that I really want to pass on to him, is the value of hard work, and the value of not wasting opportunities, and the value of taking opportunities that are given and going through the inevitable bumps in the road to get to where he wants to be. Baby, any last thoughts? Anything that you want to share with the class, to the professor, Dr. S?
No pressure.
Yeah.
I definitely just was thinking when you were talking, I think that it's just difficult in all, not putting your self-worth in things that you said or done, or things that other people have said or done to you, and taking that as part of your identity. And I think that being single, or not really having that direction, or that sense of urgency literally to provide, or things like that to kind of push you in the direction that you want, that it's hard not to kind of have those ups and downs, or get down on yourself, or be hard on yourself. And I think I think that a lot of this shift, or maybe fatherhood or being a husband or different things, or just having an overall goal you want to achieve and a higher sense of purpose kind of proves like what your self-worth is, and that you are capable of doing things, and it's not contingent upon that breakup, or that you're less lovable, or that you're not smart enough, or that grade, determined that you couldn't succeed in something. So I think that that's just kind of an overall thought that I had, that we definitely, if we push ourselves, we prove to ourselves that we're greater than we ever thought. And thank you for being a part of this education, and for teaching, and for participating, and sharing all of those days of this semester with Kendrick and others who loved it. And so thank you.
I definitely married a great one, as you can tell. She's the love of my life, and my eternal life inside as I get to. That's something deep that I cling on to. So my faith is tested to, even if there's a smidgen of chance that I'll get her forever, to stay with it. But Stephanie, one contribution that she made to this class that I reflected about one time is, she knows me really well. She really does. And I remember at the beginning of the class, we had a project or an assignment where we had to write down 20 characteristics about ourselves, and then rate ourselves, and then have others rate us and compare. And I had her and my parents do it. And I think my dad and I had 13 different ratings out of the 20. My mom and I had 11 different ratings out of the 20, and Stephanie and I had like 2 or 3, and they were only off by like one vote. So I know that she can take that, and one part of Stephanie's identity that I really admire is that she does get to know people. And when I think about her getting to know our son and responding to his needs, I don't have much anxiety about that. I think that she's really good at that. I know that she's going to be one heck of a mom. I hope to be one heck of a dad too. I guess at the end, I'll just sign off by saying my name is Kendrick. I am a giant UNC fan. I am a Mormon. I am a husband. I have PTSD. I am a gun owner. Yo hablo español. And I greatly support the Second Amendment, and I love every second of this class. Thank you so much. Maybe tell us your identities and let's sign off. Best for last.
I am a pediatric RN. I wasn't always a Mormon, but I like having both sides. I was diagnosed with PTSD as well.
We seem to find each other.
It's fascinating. And I am an alcoholic. I've been in recovery for 9 years. So I love helping people that struggle. That's one of the places I volunteer. And I love seeing people put their lives back together and all the healing work that comes from that. I think it's beautiful. I think that even if you don't have addiction, which we all kind of do in one way or another, I think that step work is a really healthy way of life. And
I'm really grateful for that.
And I secretly do Reiki, and I'm really into spiritual work, and sometimes I hide that because I don't want to freak people out. But that's pretty powerful stuff to see.
There you are, Kendrick and Stephanie uncovered. Thanks for everything. Thanks for a great semester. Take care.